regular limits. Let's go ahead and log in. Let's look for the player. You could go to daily figures, click on the player, or you could also go to the corner, all customers or customer list, click on the player ID, and then go to limits. Now, being there, we're gonna go ahead and kick it off with minimum bets. The minimum bet, it's separate as you can see it. So you can put the minimum bet $5. If you put it all the way in the top, it's gonna drag to every single one of them. But you could go ahead and separate that individually. So you could put $5 as a minimum bet, and then $10 on a parlay, $10 on teasers as minimum bets. Now, that also goes the other way around. You could put $100 and then lower that to um, $5 if you want on a parlay. So whatever you put on top is going to drag across, but you're going to be able to edit that individually. The ETH bets, horses, parlays, teasers, straight bets. Okay, let's move on to maximum bet. Same thing here. Same thing as the minimum bet. The maximum bet, if you put it on top, is going to go across. Let's say that you put $1,000 all the way in the top. It's going to go across parlays, teasers, safe bets, horses. That will be the maximum bet for all of them. Once again, you're able to edit that individually. So you're able to put parlay as a maximum bet, 1,000, and then have everything at 1,500, or the other way around. You could put parlays 1,000 and everything else. Okay, factor limits. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. Factor limits are the amount of times that the player can use the same pick as the maximum bet. So let me give you an example. If you have, uh, let's say, a two-team parlay with Lakers and Clippers, two teams. He betted 1,500. His maximum bet is 1,500. Then he's not going to be able to use the Clippers. He's not going to be able to use the Lakers because he already made the maximum bet as 1,500. So you will need to change the factor. The factor will let him bet that same amount more than once. So he's going to be able to use twice that particular maximum bet. Okay, now going per game. Per game is really easy to explain. It's not as hard to understand as a factor. Per game, it's just the maximum that he's going to be able to bet, including everything for that particular game. So, for example, if you put per game Lakers at maximum bet 1,500, it's going to add everything: first half, second half, quarters. Um, let's see, total, spread, money line, everything. It's going to start adding up until he reaches that particular max bet limit. Detail limits. The difference between detail limits and regular limits, it will be that the system will recognize the lowest limit on that particular pick, line, league, whatever you chose on detail limits. So, for example, if its maximum bet is 1,000, that's you're telling the system he's able to bet 1,000 everywhere, right? But if you go to detail limits and you go to golf and you put 500, he's not going to be able to bet 1,000. He's going to be able to bet 500 on golf, and that will be so on and so forth for all different leagues. So if you see the screen right now, I'm on hockey, but if you want to go to NFL, you go to the corner and you click on NFL. You can modify NFL to have, let's say, 500. So he's going to be able to bet 1,000 everywhere, but on NFL, he's not. He's going to be able to bet only 500, and that goes for every single sport, for every single option that he's going to be able to see on the website. So that's more specific if you want to lower the limits for any sport or any league or any spread or total, stuff like that, that you want to lower the limit for that guy only. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead with the last option for limits. This is called the house limits. This house limits, it's a house profile, meaning that it's for your entire package. So every single player that you have under this particular profile, those will be the limits. Once again, every single player that you have, this will control the limits for all your players. Now, let's say that you have some players that are able to bet 1,000, other ones that are able to bet 2,000. If your house straight limit says 500, both of them cannot bet the maximum bet. So the house straight limits will overrule um, the maximum bet that he has that you have per player. So you have to be careful what you have on house straight limits because that controls your entire package, your entire list of players. You're able to create different profiles. So you're able to have, let's say, house straight limits. Let's say your wise guys from your regular guys. Um, you just need to create another profile. There's a different video for that. But if you see the video right now, I'm showing you the limits for that particular profile on house straight limits. Okay, the last limits we will see will be the straight early limits. Straight early limits, meaning that he's going to be able to bet 100 until 2 hours before the post time, before the kickoff. So in other words, whatever you select there, he's going to be able to do it um, for that game or any bet until the actual game kicks off. So 100, only 100 is his maximum bet until 2 hours before. 2 hours before, then the regular limits will kick in. Now, overnight limits, if you put 500 between 11 Central Time and 9 a.m. Central, that will be his overnight limits. Remember, if you put zero, it would actually apply. He will not going to be able to bet anything between those hours. Maximum contest odds. That's the maximum you want the player to win on a contest. So 500. Now, maximum contest odds um, will be the plus. So plus 8,000 will be the maximum he's going to be able to see. And minimum contest odds will be the minimum. So minus 1,000. So whatever it's a plus, it will go on max. If it's a minus, will be on the minimum. That will be the easiest way to understand that.